Hey guys, Jacob with Jacob Comics. Happy New Comic Book Day, August 9th, 2023. I hope all you guys found all your books in your cubby, on the new comic book shop wall, or mailed to you. However you guys get your books, I hope you guys got all the books you were looking for this week. I know I did in the loud and mysterious black bag. Now, before we get dived into the books this week, I do want to let you guys know, as usual, check the link below. Give me a follow on IG. Uh, be much appreciated. Sometimes I sell comics. I go live a lot, hang out, talk about the comics that I've read that week. Just come in and hang out. All right, guys. Also, hey, like, comment, and subscribe if you do like this kind of content. Let's go ahead and get dived into the loud and mysterious black bag that the comics came in. Now, I did read the books this week already, so I got them kind of listed in an order of, top. It's a top 6 this week, kind of a top 5. So this one was left out of the top 5. Guardians of the Galaxy number 5. This issue was, for me, this was a bit of a step back from the first 4 issues. I definitely was not as impressed with this issue. I'm just going to be honest. Um, I don't want to harp on it too much, but let's just say I'm hoping they pick back up in the next issue. Um, Definitely we did. I'll throw this out there for them. We definitely did end on a good enough cliffhanger. Like I'm in for the story. I want to see what ends up happening with Groot. Um, and that's, without spoiling too much, that's basically why I'm still on board. And it looks like we're getting close to the wrap up of this first arc. Hopefully we'll find out what happens to Groot soon. Kind of seemed like that's what was happening in the end of that issue. However, I personally, I didn't have my heartstrings as tugged as I did in issues 1 through 4. This sort of felt just like we were going through the paces. I guess is the best way to put it. So here's what I had in the number 5 spot. I had Miles Morales Spider-Man number 5. And this is when we start to get into books that I definitely enjoyed. I had a lot of fun with this one. The art wasn't quite what it has been. It did feel a little bit rushed. Those Marvel schedules. These poor guys are trying to get these things pumped out, right? And some of the pages are done by another artist that, interestingly enough, was kind of trying to keep the style of the book, but they weren't quite the same as Vicentini, and so it was good, but you know you could tell Federico was a little rushed on this one. And that made some of the panels a little hard to follow. Just, that was my personal take on it. But I still did like the issue. Um, some of the characterizations with Miles, I'm not fully on board with, but pretty much everything else I am. And I feel like as long as they don't go too far into Miles seeking treatment, if you will, for what's going on. Which I understand. There is a good point in that story that sometimes everybody needs help and you should seek it out. And if that's the story we're gonna tell right here, I'm on board. But I hope Miles like swings out of this quickly. I don't want to see him as a hero with kind of inner turmoil all the time. And that's basically what's going on right now. And that's, it's an interesting story to tell. We'll see where they're going with it. In the number 4 spot, I had Red Goblin number 7. This continues to be a fun read. The first 5 issues or so really kind of got me hooked on the character. So some things have gone on, and I'm still interested in what's going on. I wouldn't say that this is the best issue to jump on and kind of get a feeling for the relationship that with Normie and Rascal's relationship, and the kind of infighting and they're symbioted together, so they're bonded together, so they're kind of stuck with each other. And Normie is it seems like a really good symbiote, who's very young and just kind of childlike, but good natured. And unfortunately, Normie is not quite the same. He has some dark demons that he feels like may be part of his Osborn bloodline, right? And so these are sort of manifesting when he becomes the symbiote, and the both of them bond together. He sort of overpowers Normie's good-hearted nature, and but Normie's doesn't want to lose his new friend in Rascal, and the same can be said for Rascal, where Rascal doesn't want to lose his new friend in Normie. So, I'm invested in this storyline. I'm having fun with it. I'm hoping they continue. I hope enough people are picking it up. It continues and really fleshes out these characters. Um, Now, like I said, that may not be the issue that's fully fleshes out the characters. Now, in the number three spot, I had Amazing Spider-Man 31, Legacy 925. A big, thick, fat book. Took a minute to read. There's a bunch of different stories in here, so it was kind of hard to put it in a top five, if you will, just because some of the stories I really liked, and then some of the other stories were not as powerful, right? So I'm gonna kind of go over the different stories, and I apologize. Fast forward a couple minutes if you guys don't want Amazing Spider-Man spoiled for you. I'm gonna go off the beaten path here a little bit and talk about this book, just because there was a lot of major revelations that happened, and I kind of want to talk about it, guys. Leave comments below. Let's talk about this. So, to start with, uh, oh man, where do I even begin? So there's a kind of a backstory, I guess, if you will, taking place where Robbie Robertson is getting married to Tombstone's daughter, who is a supervillain, basically, right? And so they throw the girls and the guys both throw bachelorette and bachelor parties. And that's kind of what leads us into some of these events that take place. Now during the bachelor party, um, it kind of comes to Black Cat's mind that her and Peter are just kind of walking through the paces. They don't really love each other. They're not really invested in a long-term relationship with each other. And so she decides that she's going to break it off. And so the bachelor party, there's not too much to say there. The bachelor party happens. Not too many people show up. A lot of people are kind of afraid of the fact that Robbie Robertson is marrying a former supervillain, and whose father's Tombstone, and so they don't show up. It's basically just Peter and Robbie. They end up going home, and as Peter kind of arrives home, Black Cat shows up after the bachelorette party and dumps him, just flat out dumps Peter, and he doesn't even really seem that heartbroken, guys. Like he almost kind of saw this coming and is just like, okay. So that's first up. Is the Black Cat Peter thing is done after, what is it, 15 issues? So that did not last long at all. They're done. Then we get, so Mary Jane in a couple issues back has lost the children, right? The two children that she had with her new husband, whatever his name is, Goofy McMahon, right? It doesn't even matter. The the kids that she had with this husband are dead now, and so both her and him are seemingly growing apart. And they show them like attending a counseling meeting. Not really a marriage counseling per se, but more like counseling to deal with the death of their son and daughter, um, who the world believes were actual real kids, right? And so, they're going through that, and we get a lot of exposition by Mary Jane where she's going through it, guys. Like, she loved those kids. She was really invested in these children growing up, and her caring for them and being their mother, right? And she's devastated. She's just devastated with the loss of these children. And as you can kind of imagine in a real world scenario here, uh, that seems to be driving a wedge between Mary Jane and her current husband. And then I know I'm spoiling everything. I told you there's a lot of stuff I want to talk about in here. And then Black Cat comes in after having already dumped Peter, right? And she gives Mary Jane a gift, which is this costume, this new costume, right? Superhero costume, and tells her, just like Peter always said, with great power and tragedy must also come, um, sadness and wanting to do something about it. And I thought maybe you might want to become a superhero, and if you did, here's an outfit that me and your husband made for you. And so gives her this outfit, right? And so then at the end, after that, Black Cat kind of leaves, and Mary Jane's left to think about this for a while. And after kind of mulling it over for a little bit, she hears some commotion out the window, like an accident has happened, a car accident, and somebody's screaming for help, right? And she decides, well, what am I gonna do? And so she dons this new costume, jumps out, and is like, with great power must come great responsibility. And face it, New York City, you just hit the jackpot. And she's in this new suit, and they're calling her, I guess, like Jackpot is this new kind of superhero name. Because if you've been following this whole storyline, Mary Jane has these superpowers now that she got in whatever alternate dimension she was with for all those years with her new husband. That she had the kids with, that the kids are now dead, that she's sad about. Now we're all caught up, right? Okay, so yeah, like it's the I don't know if there's here's why I wanted to talk about all this. I don't know. It kind of seemed a little bit like it's possible we're setting up that Mary Jane and Peter might end up getting back together, because Mary Jane may end up breaking up with her current husband. That seems like more of a possibility than it ever has before. And now that Peter's not with Black Cat anymore, he's free on the town, if you will. And so I'm wondering if that's what's going on. If we're trying to hook the two back up together, that could very well be. I'm curious, pop in the comments what you guys think about what's going on. There was a bunch of other reveals in there. I don't want to spoil everything. There's about three more backup stories that seemed kind of important. One was leading into the Spider Boy #1, which that had some interesting stuff. One looked to be leading into Doc Ock possibly turning back into the Superior Spider-Man to, find out some information that he's forgotten. And there was also another backup story that, honestly, guys, I don't even know what's happening. You guys tell me in the comments below. This was like the last one. There was like an old man Peter with like a really long beard, and what looked like maybe a Mary Jane character standing behind him, but you couldn't see her face. All you could see was the red hair. And it said like a really old storyline finally, you know, we're bringing some of that back, and we're gonna continue that. So I don't know what storyline was going on with that, but yeah, I'm curious. We'll see what's going on. There was a lot of other stuff going on in that book. Really thick book. In the #2 spot, and this was a pretty close. You could almost say a slight tie for #1, though. I think the #1 book just edges this one out. This book is fabulous right now, guys. The Joker Incorporated storyline is one of the darkest things I've read in a Batman title in a very long time, and I am super enjoying it. Um, I don't think very many people are reading this book, and so I'm gonna slightly spoil it here because, if people don't hear, I think kind of what's going on in this book, it's just gonna fall under the radar. So Joker has set up this master plan where he's recruited a bunch of people who have beef against different members of Batman Incorporated. And he's called this group Joker Incorporated. He's set up all the Jokers with bombs, different types of bombs, right? And he's trying to get Ghostmaker to break his promise to Batman to not kill, right? And so he's like, look, the only way to stop these bombs is you have to kill all of the Joker Incorporated members. If you don't kill them within 30 minutes, then the bombs will go off and many people will die. And before he did this, he's had already done this, I think, with 2 or 3 of the Joker Incorporated members that he set the bomb off to kind of prove like he's not playing, and you have to kill these Joker Incorporated members. You can't just take them into custody. And so Ghostmaker, who's already within the first arc of this run, he's already kind of lost faith in a lot of the members, and a lot of the members think that he might be a bad guy. And now he's being forced by the Joker to command his own troops to kill the Joker Incorporated before the bombs detonate and everyone gets murdered, including his own members of the Batman Incorporated. And so, there's infighting between the Batman Incorporated members and Ghostmaker and the members of Batman Incorporated that agree with Ghostmaker. And then there's the members of Batman Incorporated that don't agree with Ghostmaker and want the group to stay like Batman intended and not kill anybody and try to find another solution. And it's written really well. It's been drawn really well. This issue does have a replacement artist on some of the pages, so it's not. You can tell that he got a little behind, which is okay. It happens, like we talked about in another one of the books. I'm never mad. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do, but generally speaking, at least for the first 10 issues, the art's been immaculate, and he does do enough pages in this book that you still kind of get that same feel. And they only use the backup artist to tell one of the sort of side stories that's going on, so it's not too thrown off it. And anyways, I had a lot of fun with it. I highly recommend that book. I highly recommend this book too. If you guys have not been checking out what's going on with Fall of X, my mind is blown at what they're doing. Like, if you've been watching the channel for a while, where are we on issue 14? I've never reviewed this book high. I've always been a little bit lost, a little bit befuddled, and not knowing where we were going. And just been like, a lot, because the setup for where we were at in Krakoa and everything that was going on was just kind of, to me, super boring. I'm just being honest. And it had this weird Game of Thrones vibe where the bad guys were good guys, but everyone was on this council, and it seemed like there was avenues we could tell good stories, but what they continued to do was to tell stories about infighting between the different good guys and bad guys, and it just kind of never landed for me. The bad guys never actually truly felt like bad guys. They didn't feel like there was a whole lot of stakes, especially with the Krakoan the ability to resurrect. You could just randomly kill off characters and, oh, well, we resurrected them, whoop-de-doo. So some stuff has went down in X-Men. Krakoa is no more. The resurrection uh, council, or the five, if that's what they are. There's five mutants that they needed basically to be able to resurrect someone. The five have been separated, and possibly some people think are dead. um, Professor Xavier's still alive, but he's haunted by the fact that, I'm gonna spoil a bit, man. This is good stuff. If you're not reading it, this is the only way you're gonna be interested enough to read it, man. So let me put it down. Let me put this issue. This is a fire cover, right? With Xavier on here checking out like the destroyed old Sentinel. He's hanging out. He's finally taken the hat off. He's grown a big old raggedy beard. He's a super sad sack because he has led almost all of the populace of mutant kind to their, what he thinks are their deaths. Orcus came in and played a trick on them, basically uh, saying that they had infected their medicine that they had been giving to the world, right? And made it so that whenever Orcus wanted to, with the press of a button, basically, they could make the medicine kill all of the humans that had ever taken it, right? And unless the mutants left and all moved to Mars, they would hit the button, right? And so Charles begrudgingly agreed. And Orcus was in control of Araco and had came in and basically taken the whole place. And they had um, told Professor Xavier that they had set the portals which would transport you from Mars to Krakoa on Earth. Uh, to transport there, right? They'd set all of the different ones to transport there because some of the different portals did transport you different places on Earth and a few other places, right? And so they did that, and it was a lie because they'd actually set up all the portals to transport all the mutants to what we'll find out later in this issue is like a desert, a desert expanse. They're lost in the desert. I'm pretty sure it's not on Earth, right? And we'll get back to that. We'll get back to that because that seems really like a really interesting story I want to hear told as well. And so Professor Xavier's just, he's just out of his mind with the fact that he's basically feels like he's caused the death of all of his mutant friends because as soon as they went through the portals, he tried to reach out to them and couldn't anymore. And he would have been able to if they were on Mars. And so he doesn't know where they are. And we end up finding out later, though, that all those mutants actually did survive. They're in this desert area, and they're led by Hope Summers and Exodus, which to me, it just, it has so much potential, so much potential. There's a ton of mutant refugees. Most of the mutants that are don't have the greatest powers for combat, led by Hope and Exodus. It writes itself, right? Like, yeah, oh man, there's some great story that can be told there, like a Moses kind of story through the desert. Anyways, so there's that going on. Um, and just, Xavier's kind of protecting the Krakoan island at this point. What they're showing us is that there are still some evil mutants that are still alive out there. Mother Righteous is still out there alive and kicking, and whatever his name is, Shaw. Excuse me, yeah, Shaw has left the council. He's taken the drugs that the humans want you to take if you're a mutant and you're going to stay on Earth, which makes you not a mutant anymore. So now Shaw's not a mutant. And he has somehow made a deal with Mother Righteous to own Krakoa. And so now he's trying to mine Krakoa for whatever wealth is left now that the mutants are no longer there. And Charles is sort of protecting the island, and it's I don't know, man. It's interesting again. X Men is interest. These side title X Men are actually interesting again, and that gets me hyped, man. As you can see, I'm a big X Men fan, and this could be a really good story. This Fall of X is starting out pretty strong. That's what I have today, guys. As always, if you do like this kind of content, like, comment, subscribe, click the link below, come hang out with me on Instagram. We'll see you guys next time, and have a great day.